If y'all would stand and honor our fire and police for all the wonderful work that they do to keep us safe. We really appreciate you all, and we will be saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I also want to welcome Booker T. Washington. We're so happy, one of our community in the schools. Happy to see you here. Hi. Would you believe that this is my son and daughter's alma mater, meaning they went to Booker T. Washington years and years ago. So welcome. Happy to have you. Next up is Pets of the Week, Amy DeFelix. Amy, you on?
Hello, yes, I am here. Hello, everyone. My name is Amy DeFelix. I am one of the adoption and rescue coordinators for the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. I'm also the one that picks and presents the Pets of the Week every week. So we'll go ahead and start. Let me share my screen for our PowerPoint. Alrighty, and here we are. We will start off, as always, with our cat of the week. His name is Fluffy Boy. His number is 66693. And he says, I'm one of the brothers to the previous cat of my forever home. I get scared of sudden movements or loud noises, but I love getting pets and being a lap kitty. I get so happy that I even start drooling sometimes. I've lived with my brothers for likely my whole life. You can adopt us all together, or I might be able to make new cat friends. And then we also have our dog of the week. I realize my camera is cutting off the text, so let me see if I can take my video off really quick. There we go. Awesome. And our dog of the week, his name is Wilbur, and his number is 60283. And he says, I am an excellent companion who gets along with dogs, cats, and well-behaved children. I absolutely love affection. My weekend foster said that I give the best hugs. I walk nicely on the leash and I'm pretty food motivated, so use that to your advantage in training me. I'm the sweetest boy ever. It's such a surprise that I haven't met my forever family yet. Could that be you? And then regarding adoption events, we will be at the Bosque Brewing Telshore Public House this Saturday the 23rd. We'll be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll have adoptable dogs for you guys to meet. We're usually stationed kind of right by the front entrance, so you can't miss us, you can't miss the dogs. We hope you come out and maybe you'll find your next furry friend. Another topic I'd like to present on today regards enrichment. So you adopted a dog or a cat from a shelter or anywhere, but what's next? You kind of notice that they're a little, after the adjustment period, they might get a little anxious, antsy. They might start, especially if it's a younger dog, chewing on things he's not supposed to be chewing. Your cats might be kind of scratching up on the furniture. So what is the solution? One of the solutions would definitely be to turn towards enrichment. So what is enrichment? They are exercises that allow your pet to engage in their innate behaviors. So that's like sniffing, scratching, chewing, tasting, kind of engaging all of the senses that they would normally use if they happen to be, like, say, out in the wild. Enrichment is both physical and mental. And of course, without enrichment provided in your home, pets are more likely to exhibit unwanted behaviors. And that's like the destructive behaviors like chewing up couches, furnitures, doors even, barking or yowling, inappropriate play interactions. So if they play a little bit too rough with you, that is a sign of low enrichment, as well as anxious behaviors. And so some examples of canine enrichment specifically, there's food enrichment. There's like puzzle feeders. They have little knobs and twisty things that you stick the kibbles in, and you close it all up. You present it to your dog, and they have to use their brain and their nose in conjunction to open everything and get the food as like a little reward. It helps obviously get them fed, and it kind of works out their mind a little bit more. Same with snuffle mats. If you Google snuffle mats, they're little like bath mats, or well, they look like bath mats, but they have like a very long, like felt kind of tabs everywhere, so you hide the kibbles underneath the tabs, and they have to use their nose to move everything around and try and pick out every piece of kibble. And lick mats, that's just a very smooth, like a textured mat that you can smooth peanut butter, yogurt, any sort of kind of like some semi-soft treat onto it. A lot of people love using lick mats as distractions for like bathing or nail trimming. It kind of gets the licking, the act of licking helps decrease like anxieties in dogs. It kind of helps them feel, it releases a hormone that helps them feel a little bit more calm. So that's definitely, it helps in especially those situations. And there are also enrichment activities, so like scavenger hunts, so you can like hide treats around your home and help your dog kind of sniff around and find them and engages them and gets them moving. And it's a fun time for both of you. As well as sniffari walks, as some people like to call them. And sniffaris are walks that are dedicated to allowing your dog to take in the scents and explore the environment. It's less structured than like a regular walk if you're just kind of going down the street when you guide the dog. Sniffaris are dog-led, usually kind of in a, not as like a neighborhood area, maybe like in a park, where you can kind of have a long lead and let your dog kind of sniff around, take in the scents, and kind of just have his own time, kind of taking in the environment, and helps them feel really kind of like mentally stimulated. And now for feline enrichment, a lot of professionals suggest, especially Jackson Galaxy is kind of like my favorite kind of cat professional, and he likes to call it catifying your household. I like to use that as well. What is catifying your household? So that's having cat furniture and cat kind of making your cat furniture, excuse me, that gives them a selection of platforms, high platforms that they can jump and climb to, or cubby holes that they can hang out and hide in. Because cats love having kind of like that vertical space to kind of move around and kind of basically 3 dimensions. It makes them feel more comfortable, makes them feel a lot more kind of like how they would in the wild, essentially. Also, plenty of scratching posts. A lot of people like to suggest putting scratching posts wherever you see your cat might have an inkling of scratching. Like I have a scratching post on either side of my couch, and encourage my cats and praise them when they scratch the post instead of my couch. And they also usually like the texture of like the twine scratching post a lot better than a couch anyways. I would assume, at least my cats do. Having those around, giving them plenty of access to scratch without them getting in trouble. There's also a variety of cat toys that fulfill different sensory kind of needs. So like the crinkle toys, the bells, toys that you can also stick treats in, the little teaser toys that you kind of dingle around and they chase. Of course, participate in playtime with your cat. It's a great bonding experience for you both. The good feelings that the cat will feel when he's having a good time playing, he'll also associate with you. So of course it strengthens your bond. And there's also food enrichment in cats as well. You can also have puzzle feeders or lick mats. I pet sit, so I have a couple of my clients that have a couple of nice little like dispensers. One is shaped like a mouse when you put the kibble in it, and the cats kind of knock it around enough that the food comes out, and they love to do that. And there's also like a little ball that if the cat rolls it around enough, the food will come out. They love doing that. They love chasing it around. It's a great way to have them exercise as well as eat. And there's also lick mats for cats as well. Cats also love licking. They groom themselves as well. You can also use lick mats as like kind of a distraction if you need to maybe also trim your cat's nails, if you need to brush them, and if they're not like super fond of it, a lick mat's a great distraction. Instead of lick mats, there's also like, they look like Go-Gurt tubes. I call them kitty Go-Gurt, but they're like liquid treats that you can dispense slowly at a time to kind of distract your cat and make it enjoyable for them as well. It kind of brings the whole experience a better connotation. Now, with all this enrichment, for both canine and feline, we'd like to remind you that healthy pets in general have both healthy minds and bodies. Keep in mind their mental health and enrichment, of course, as well as their physical health and exercise and nutrition. Never forget the mentality of the enrichment as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Lots of good information always. I will encourage, we have a full house, so I'm hoping that one of you will go home with a new pet, maybe. Kids, tell your parents. Next up, we have Jobs of the Week. Sarah Rainey from New Mexico Workforce Connections. You there, Sarah? There you are.
Good afternoon. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Sarah Rainey. I am the Southwest Region One-Stop Coordinator, and I work with Giselle Padamadas. She is actually the one-stop operator. Let me share my screen. And I'm going to turn off my video too as well. Alrighty, for the jobs of the week, we have Police Department Records Technician. That's for the city of Las Cruces. The pay is $16.67 an hour. That one closes on 10/2. As well, for the city of Las Cruces, we have the new services coordinator. That one begins at $18.77, and that position as well closes on the 2nd of October. For the White Sands Missile Range, we have a sensor systems engineer. That position starts at $60,000 a year, and it looks like the posting closes on 12/1. We have a history instructor for NMSU. That position begins at $44,000 up to about $56,000. That posting closes on 10/15. For the Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages, we have an order replenishment merchandiser. Pays from $16.04 to $22.06, and that position closes October 16th. And then the American Red Cross, we have a lead rotational program associate. That one pays up to $22.06 an hour. That posting closes on October 1st. As always, if you see any of these postings that you're interested in and not sure how to connect with us, you can feel free to come in and meet with any of us at 226 South Alameda Boulevard. You can call us at 524-6250, or always log on to employeeandm.com. We have all of the postings for the Southwest New Mexico, all over New Mexico actually, but our Southwestern region jobs are listed there on Employee and M. But feel free to give us a call and we can help you find your job. Thank you all.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Next up, we have our proclamations and certificates, and I will call up Ashley Curry and Booker T. Washington students. Come on down. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for having survived, of course. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi. Okay. Whereas walking or bicycling to school affords opportunities to build activity into daily routine, and whereas lack of physical activity contributes to rising rates of obesity, diabetes, and other health problems among children, and whereas parents, caregivers, community leaders, and others are well positioned to teach children about pedestrian safety, health risks related to sedentary lifestyles, and environmental consequences of fossil fuel use. And whereas the lives of hundreds of children could be saved each year if communities take steps to make pedestrian safety a priority. And whereas driving students to school by private vehicle contributes to traffic congestion and air pollution. And whereas identifying shortcomings in transportation systems is the first step towards enhancing bicycle pedestrian safety. And whereas community members and leaders should make a plan to make immediate changes to enable children to safely walk and bicycle in our communities and develop a list of suggestions for improvements that can be implemented over time. And whereas children, parents, and community leaders around the world are joining together to walk to school. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of September 19th through 22nd, 2023 as International Walk to School Days in the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and encourage everyone to consider the safety and health of children today and every day. Signed by our Mayor, Ken D. Mehigashima, and attested by Christine Rivera, our City Clerk.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Gondara, City Council members and members of the public. My name is Ashley Curry. I am the Safe Routes to School Coordinator for Las Cruces Public Schools, and I have the honor to be here today with the walking school bus students and the staff leaders from Booker T, Washington. And so these students walk to school every week, although we're celebrating International Walk to School Days this week. Every single week throughout our district, we have students walking to school. We have 19 walking school buses at different schools every single week, rain or shine, of the entire school year. And so these students are out there every single week except if there's lightning, right? So they can tell you all kinds of things about being safe when they walk to school and all kinds of ways of why they enjoy the walk and maybe even some suggestions for improving the walk to school. So I invite you, members of the public and our city council and city staff, to join us this week for any of our walks to schools. And if you are not able to join this week, it's an open invitation for the whole year to join us. And before I hand it over to the students, I also just wanted to thank our city council for the city council bike ride that they put on this Saturday. It was really, really wonderful and super fun. So, and thank you to our Chief Story, for leading us out there as well. So thank you so much to everybody for being out there. Students, would anybody like to say anything? All the things that you were telling me on the walk over here? Okay, I will go ahead. Would you like to say something? Come on out. There you go.
I like to walk.
Good. What's your name?
Aubrey.
And why do you like to walk?
Because it's fun.
Good. Thank you.
I like doing walk to school because it makes me have exercise, and I really like it a bunch. I like doing the walk to school day because I get to spend time with my friends. I like to walk to school because I like to play a lot. I like to walk to school because I can explore the world.
And these students walked along the multi-use trail that goes behind the fire department, and they had a lot of fun seeing the little marsh and the sunflowers and the wildlife that was down there. So thank you to the city for providing those opportunities and spaces for our kids to walk safely so that they don't have to walk along the busy streets. Thank you, everybody.
Got everybody? Yes, okay, very good. Thank you for being here. Be safe going back, okay? And do well in school. Bye. Isn't it wonderful seeing young people here? I love it. Councilor Flores.
Good afternoon. Next is a proclamation in support of the extension and expansion of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which will be presented to Jasmine Herrera and Jonette Harkley. Would you please step up here? Oh, thank you. Whereas the world's first atomic bomb was tested in New Mexico on July 16, 1945, and the U.S. conducted 1,038 atomic tests in the Nevada test site, 215 of which were above ground tests. And whereas in 1990, the U.S. passed the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, RECA, to pay restitution and medical care to people that were exposed to radiation from these nuclear tests. And whereas the U.S. government has been compensating the downsiders in other states, but the downsiders in New Mexico have never been included, although they were the first to be exposed to nuclear radioactivity via the Trinity atomic test. And whereas there were some 500,000 families that lived within a 150-mile radius and as close as 12 miles from the Trinity test, and the radioactive fallout caused cancerous diseases such as leukemia, multiple myeloma, and lymphomas. And whereas the RECA is scheduled to expire on June 10, 2024, so current congressional bills to extend and expand RECA have been introduced, including Senate Bill 1751 and House Resolution 4426, that would include the downsiders of New Mexico for the first time. And whereas the U.S. has approved $50 billion budget per year for the last 33 years, a total of can't even read this, 1,650 billion. I don't know how to read that. To maintain its current nuclear arsenals, but in the same period, less than 1% of that amount has been paid to those adversely affected by radioactive atomic tests. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby support the health, welfare, and safety of the residents of the city of Las Cruces by proclaiming the month of September as proclamation in support of the extension and expansion of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, signed by Mayor Ken D. Miyagishima and our city clerk, Christine Rivera. I would also like to add that the people, two of the key people who sit on the board of directors and others who have been affected by the atomic bomb testing on July 16, 1945, are in Washington, D.C., trying to meet the deadline. And Ben Ray Lujan has been instrumental, as has Martin senators, U.S. Senators Ben Ray Lujan and Martin, I was going to say Martin Sheen. No, yeah, Heinrich. Martin Heinrich as well. You see, you were listening. I did that on purpose. I used to be a teacher. As well as Gabe Vasquez, our representative from this part of New Mexico. They're all in support of that, and there's a deadline coming up. So, and I now present to you two representatives, Jeanette, Johnette Goodwin, but you go by another name. I'm sorry. Jasmine Herrera and Johnette Harkley. Harkley hyphen Goodwin. And you don't want to hear my full name. Okay. So, and Jasmine will say a few words.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Herrera, and I'm here today with Johnette Harkey Goodwin. We've been selected by the Tularosa Basin Downwinders Consortium to receive this proclamation on their behalf. They are unable to be present today, as she mentioned, because they are currently in Washington, D.C. to make the final lobbying push to get New Mexico funded under the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. Johnette and I are both from communities that were adversely affected by fallout from the Trinity atomic bomb. Johnette was 4 years old at the time of the explosion, and she vividly remembers the incredible bright light from the bomb coming in her window where she lived in Cruces, New Mexico. The test happened approximately 26 miles from Johnette's home. Johnette has survived a very aggressive breast cancer and also suffers from a thyroid disease. Her mother had thyroid disease and underwent the surgical removal of her thyroid in her late 30s. Her father developed lung cancer in his late 50s and died at 62. Johnette's daughter and grandson also have thyroid disease. Jeanette's story is all too common for members of communities affected by the fallout. We are proud to accept this proclamation, and we are hopeful that the lobbying efforts by the TBDC will see real results and finally get compensation for the many people who continue to suffer to this day. Lastly, I want to encourage you all to view the current exhibit at the Brannigan Cultural Center titled Trinity: Legacies of Nuclear Testing, A People's Perspective. This exhibit is on display until September 23rd. To learn more, please visit the trinitydownwinders.com website. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let me stand over here. Thank you so much. Good luck. I hope everything works out well.
Okay. Next up is our conflict of interest. Does anybody on the dais, that includes staff, have any conflict of interest with any known items
None,
on the
Graham.
agenda?
None, Aveda.
None. Got that, huh? None. Okay. Next up is our public participation. I will give you 3 minutes. I'll start on my left. Anybody? Okay. Is the timer work? Yes? Ifo? And just as a reminder, if you're a candidate that's running for office, please refrain from speaking about your candidacy. Thank you. Hi, Ms. Diaz.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Manager, staff, and public. My name is Yoli Diaz with CARE. Today, I want to present a scenario. For the sake of this scenario, I can be anyone, and you can be anyone. I have been experiencing some hardships, including my television going out. My income is limited. You see, my life opportunities, they did not provide me to go to college, get a degree, get a great job, and my employer isn't able to provide benefits, including health insurance. My income is considered low income, and I fit in with about 20% of my community. I want to buy a television. I go to Best Buy in Las Cruces. I find the television I like. It's a 50-inch TCL. It's on sale for $249.99, discounted from the regular price of $299.99. I'm happy. It's a smart TV. I go to the counter and pay. I see you at the counter, and you choose to buy their best television that costs $5,999.99. I'm thinking, wow, good for you. I don't pay $249.99. I pay more because I have to pay sales tax. Cashier tells me that my total is $270.46. I heard the cashier say to you, it will be $6,491.24, sir. Will this be cashier charge? So I know Best Buy is in the city of limits of Las Cruces, and that the location code of the tax I will pay will be Las Cruces 07-105, and the tax rate is 8.1875. I paid a tax that I know will be passed on to the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department, and I come back to the city of Las Cruces, and will come back, and when I make purchases in the county, we'll come back to Doña Ana County, so both can provide services that benefit the public. I pay taxes and you pay taxes. I leave Best Buy, get in my car, my phone is ringing. I see that it's my doctor with what could be a dreaded call. He tells me, quote, your test results are in. You have cancer. I referred you to an oncologist at Memorial Medical Cancer Center. I called them to schedule you an appointment as soon as possible, but I was told that they cannot give you an appointment because you don't have health insurance coverage. What do I do? Where do I turn? Although the only insurance that I will qualify for will give me a 75% reduction, and I won't have to pay $1,610, but I would pay a monthly premium of $403 plus out-of-pocket costs. I simply can't afford it. Can I be without my food, not pay my rent, not pay my utilities or car payment? Oh, and I was counted in the census just like you, and our state receives $8,692 a year for me and you, and all the residents counted. Since the 70s, I contributed to our economy, paid taxes to our city, county, and state. Healthcare is a human need. A life is a life. Does my life not matter? Do I not deserve healthcare protection of my life and safety? Why have I been denied an
Thank you,
appointment
Ms.
at our
Diaz.
city county leased hospital?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the first row, second row, third, fourth? Please make your way down and state your name for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Richard Farr, and I'm
Mr. Buck, you
motivated to
can
come-
raise it, yes, please, and the actual
stoop down a
podium.
bit.
The podium you can raise as well. It's a side
That's
button
okay.
there.
Can you hear me now?
Are you, okay.
Okay, my name is Richard Farr, and I'm here in response to a KRWG news item that popped up on my cell phone the other day, disturbing an otherwise quiet afternoon. The title of this news article was that Las Cruces rolls out the first publicly funded basic income program. I was shocked and dismayed. As I read further, the intent is to pay $500 per month for 18 months to a number of recipients. Basically, we're paying $9,000 of other people's money to certain selected recipients. There's no requirement for any work, no requirement, no expectations at all in return. There's 150 families that are supposed to participate in this, and that works out to $1,350,000 of taxpayer money for basically what's a social experiment. Now, Ms. Bencomo, I had an email dialogue with you many months ago, and I'll have to say that I appreciate your response because frankly I did not expect one, but you stated your position clearly, and this is before the last election, and again I appreciated that and I expressed my appreciation to you. In the interim, I was hoping that clearer heads would prevail and that this scheme would die a natural death, and obviously I was wrong. So here we are. So I'm wondering, how are these recipients of public largesse to be identified? What are the criteria? Who determines those criteria? How will those results be meaningfully analyzed, interpreted, and reported, if at all? To me, this is basically social cronyism. The scheme is basically fiscally irresponsible. It's clearly unsustainable, and I would say it's even immoral. It is an insult to me as a taxpayer. It is an insult to every other taxpayer in this room and beyond. And I'll also argue it's an insult to the intended recipients, because in return for some other people's money, they'll be giving up a little bit more of their dignity. Thank you.
Thank you. Row 4, row 5. Hello, go ahead and put the mic down and state your name, please, for the record.
Patricia Jimenez, owner of the Little Shop on Main. I've been a victim of ongoing crime and violence since March of 23, and I have voiced my concerns to public officials, politicians, and advocates. I have numerous police reports with the Las Cruces Police Department. Furthermore, cases and trials were dismissed by the city judges and the DA. I've called 911 numerous times, and either the police showed up late or never showed up at all. Numerous times they would give me blank cards with no case number. After I demanded that they give me one, they would say, "What's the point?" One incident, I was re-victimized by an officer, bullied and interrogated. He was reported along with another to internal affairs, and the case was later closed with no explanation. There have been at least 30+ incidents at my store, including theft, vandalism, stalking, harassment, and I currently have a 5-year order of protection from a stalker. One incident, I had to deter a male covered in blood from entering my store. I'm demanding that there be a thorough investigation of the Las Cruces Police Department regarding possible corruption intimidation, bullying, harassment, tampering of cases, including factual errors, omissions, conclusory statements, possible felony cases being manipulated, downgraded to misdemeanors, providing little, if any, body camera footage when requested, willful negligence, and not providing service and protection to the community needed during 911 calls. Cassandra, you come to my store with your husband, Bill Souls, legislator, senator in New Mexico, and again after the airing of my situation on the news. You offered to help but denied any knowledge of my incidents over the past 7 months, although you were clearly made aware of my situation as a victim and ignored it. You told me twice in my store it's not my fault. However, the welfare of the community in District 1 is your responsibility and you are accountable. You insulted me and asked why in a condescending and insensitive manner as to why I didn't contact you and disregarded my well-being. You made it personal and you threw it in my face that you bought furniture in my store, giving me the inclination that you would retaliate and never shop for me again if I didn't remain silent. Although I made it clear I didn't want to talk to you, you kept pressuring me to meet with you again before the public City Hall meeting. I'm demanding that there be a thorough investigation of the entire City Council regarding misconduct, intimidation, retaliation, manipulation, and willful negligence. It is critical that the City of Las Cruces provide acceptable full security protection for the downtown businesses effective immediately. In addition, restitution of damages and lost income must be provided to affected business owners who lost significant income and continue to lose it as a result under your watch. You have the power to do something and you did nothing. Our tax dollars pay your salary. If nothing is done, this will be escalated to state and federal agencies, including the media, for further investigation. We have a civil right to be protected, and we have a human right in our community as civilians and business owners. Change starts now.
Thank you. I'm going to ask everybody to calm down. Row five. Are you row 5? Please make it to the podium. State your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Suntimer, and I am a business owner downtown. My husband and I moved here from St. Louis about 2 years ago. In the last month, I would say I have either witnessed or experienced crime in my little area. My neighbor whose building was attached to mine, her business had a brick thrown through the window. I had to call the police last Wednesday because of a very violent altercation outside my door with 7 very large men. It was extremely scary, and it was scary for all the customers that were there. I know that there was a car vandalized behind our parking lot during the farmer's market, and my husband and I are moving our shop down the street because we need more space, and there was a person who I assume was homeless sleeping right in front of our shop on the sidewalk. Now, we have spent a lot of money to open a business here, and we are really concerned about the amount of crime. I had a woman come into my shop last week. She was a representative for you, Ms. Mayor Pro Temp. I think she's working on your campaign, and I thought, well, this is a great time for me to share a concern. And I said, well, could you please ask her, what is she going to do about crime? The response I got was, well, there's crime everywhere. Crime is bad everywhere. So I told her, I said, I was a school teacher in St. Louis. We had middle school and high school students that had drug addiction problems, school phobia, violent behaviors, and mental illness. We were tasked with helping these kids overcome their addiction, helping their parents help the kids, helping them get an education and a diploma, and helping deal with their mental illness. If I were to say to a parent or to my boss, there's drug abuse everywhere, a lot of kids don't graduate from high school. Mental illness is a problem. I would have lost my job. And I didn't do it so that I didn't lose my job. I did it because the task that I was given was very important. So as a business owner, I have a question for every one of you. As a person representing the city, what advice would you give to someone wanting to open a business down here, knowing that I have to have bars on my windows, I have to have a security system, I have to walk over people sleeping on the sidewalk in front of my shop and hope that my customers will do that as well. And I have to hope that people don't stop coming downtown because of the amount of violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on row 5? Row 6? If you're going to speak, make your way down, and you can sit up here in the front, please. Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Debbie Bond. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and the City Council. I'm a vendor at the Farmers Market, and I've been there for many, many years. I'm here to talk about our concerns as a vendor of the homeless, but also to back the downtown business people also. We get down there at 6 o'clock in the morning and we see the homeless and the vandalism that's going on. And I can remember back when downtown was like a ghost town other than when we showed up on Saturdays. I'm very proud that we have downtown business people now. It looks wonderful. I was there during the RUDAT study and how things have changed down there. But violence and the homeless is a really big problem downtown. I would hope someday we could get more police presence down there. We all look after each other down there, but it gets pretty scary. I had my life threatened by a man who was begging for money from our customers, and I just asked him very nicely to move on. We were told we could do that. I was a block captain at that time, and I wore a badge with my name on it. And he addressed me by name and said that if I even called for help, he would come back and kill me. So I quit wearing my badge. But it is a situation downtown to protect, even when city is holding a big event, which we do a lot. The parking lots aren't safe, and I'd just like you to consider what can be done for the safety of the people in the downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Juan Garcia. I'm a firm believer in supporting those in our community in need, like those requiring catastrophic health care. Reported on KRWG, our council approved, quote, guaranteed basic income, which provides unconditional and unrestricted payments to help individuals with their basic needs. In essence, our council doled out taxpayer funds with no accountability. Basic needs could be satisfied at Fiesta Foods, or it could be satisfied at the local pot shop or liquor store. We won't know. Our council can show the same generosity with our personal funds by standing in front of Albertsons, giving out $300 personal checks with no accountability to anyone that asks. And when their personal savings are depleted, they get a personal loan and start again. Same concept that the taxpayers have to deal with. I would like to thank KFOX for the recent interviews dealing with crime affecting the community. Albuquerque Journal editorial on Sunday. City council members have sponsored a resolution. The focus of this resolution is on enhancing Albuquerque's efforts to address crime. Key areas of focus including drug and mental health issues, restructuring pre-trial detention, securing funds for the WARN program for the next 5 years, and supporting law enforcement. This sentiment is echoed by the Albuquerque Police Department, indicating the urgency of holding criminals accountable. You just heard numerous victims that have come here and spoken, and they have done this for the last year. It is time that you do something to hold these criminals accountable. And I continue with a quote. There's a consensus that the present conditions which prevent families from feeling secure during outdoor activities are unacceptable. Does this sound familiar in Las Cruces? You just heard a couple of individuals tell you that. We've asked numerous times for the council to request our state lawmakers to take action, like those councilors in Albuquerque. In the meantime, the forgotten victims listed on the Las Cruces Hall of Shame who don't fit the category of, quote, most vulnerable in our population are ignored. Albuquerque Journal, 17 September. Last year, 10 bills addressing crime were presented, but either didn't make it into committee or died in committee. The Democratic majority opposed these bills. We're proposing the following. The mayor sent a letter to state senators and representatives to come to these chambers and present a tangible solutions to address crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
I'm William Bierman. On September 5th, after I left your meeting, Councilor Bencomo said my comment about City Council defunding of police was a, quote, bold-faced lie. But what I said is true. In a letter from about early 2021, the Las Cruces Police Officers Association told you the last several years have seen steady decline in staffing levels, which have culminated in an all-time low of 140 officers on duty, even though the department is authorized for 202 officers. The letter said, quote, this leaves the community largely unpatrolled and unprotected and is extremely hazardous to officers. The letter stated the percentage of the budget allocated to public safety was down almost 5% from fiscal year 2021. The letter said, potential recruits quickly leave the LCPD recruiting table when they learn how far behind LCPD has fallen in comparison to just about every other agency. The city is simply not competitive. So much for the letter. I have here a position control count from the adopted FY22 budget. It shows police department positions were reduced from 329 in fiscal 2018 to 318 in the adopted 2022 budget, a reduction of 11 positions. This is while the total number of city employees went up by 82 to a total of 1,833, which is about 10 times the number of sworn police. But the budget is not the same as what actually happens. Budgeting positions does not mean actually filling them. Officials claim they increased the budget in terms of money. That doesn't mean they actually spent the money. At one council meeting, I heard a reference to $5 million in unspent salary account. Finally, Councilor Bencomo is on video displaying a bar graph at a council meeting on April 26, 2021. The chart was entitled, Where Our Money Goes. Noting that the bar for the police department was the highest, she commented, quote, and you know that for the police department to have such a disproportionate chunk of the budget, to me feels like we need to do some serious reflection on the creation of this budget. Since then, defunding of the police has become politically toxic in elections. So Las Cruces is doing an about-face and sending out news releases of touting how you're doing new hiring of police. But the damage has already been done as crime is raging here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Bierman. Is there anybody on rows 7 or 8? Anybody on this side? Okay. If you want to speak and you're in these last few rows, please make your way down.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, my name is Lori English. For over 20 years, I have tried to get the city councilors from both sides of the aisle to respond to the lousy conditions of Stewart's Avenue between Calle Pastoria and Midway up on the East Mesa, to physically see the situation of that street. It looks like it has leprosy, and nobody's doing anything about it. I had 2 previous councilors from my district come out and physically see the condition. No action was taken. I invited Councilor Karan to come out via email and never got a response. But I got a response saying, well, she thinks the schedule, according to the streets department, that it's scheduled for 2024. First of all, right now, Midway Boulevard, which is a street that's in the same area, is less heavily used than Stewart's by almost 2/3 the amount of traffic, and it's being totally resurfaced. A street the length of about 5 blocks that's not even used that often. And the trucks that are being used to carry out the asphalt from the debris are the heavy asphalt and concrete trucks that are not only making a mud bog out of Gasline Road, but they are destroying and tearing up Stewart's Street, again, with no compensation, no consideration. Lesser used streets in the city are being resurfaced almost every month. And Stewart's has been remained as it is for the 23 years that I have lived here. In fact, their potholes are filling the potholes, and now those heavy trucks are creating nothing but a mass of potholes. It still looks like it's got leprosy. And it's making a bog, like I said, out of Midway. The city's heavy trucks I already talked about. The entire street should be resurfaced. We need all city councilors to deal more with infrastructure, crime, vandalism, and animal welfare than disrespecting veterans and changing street names. Get out in your communities and put together some decent plans. Don't go out there just a couple months before the campaign and before the election. 1 or 2 of you are running for mayor. I find that laughable. I mean no insult to any individual on the city council. Still, you owe an apology to the city, the veterans of the city, the county, and the state of New Mexico for your bad treatment and dishonor and disrespect concerning the Veterans Park episode.
Thank you, Ms. English. Anybody else on this side? Okay, to my right, first row. Second row. Please make your way. You dropped something on the floor.
All those are, I'll pick those up
Is
on
that
the way
okay?
back. Thank
All
you,
right.
though.
You're welcome. Just don't forget it.
I'm giving you all copies of these.
Okay.
Lady there will be distributing copies there, please, for all of you.
Please
good
state your
afternoon.
name. Mhm.
Yeah, good afternoon, Pro Tem and councilors. My name is Charles Windler, and I've got something that I think is a dear issue to all of us. Should be. It's a unifying issue, not a divisive one, unlike so many things that you're presented with, unfortunately. So this week, just started yesterday, is Constitution Week. We're talking about U.S. Constitution, of course, okay? And people don't really know that piece of information, but it's public law. So let me read from you. I need a little bit of an aid here. My vision is slipping on me, so let me see if I can do this. And it's in the back of this little booklet. You can get it and read it for yourself. You can have that. That's a gift to you. I shouldn't say gift because maybe that's in violation of some of these laws. But anyway, to commemorate the September 17, 1787 signing of the Constitution of the United States, Congress has designated September 17th of each year as Constitution Day and September 17th through the 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. In 2004, Public Law 100-447, Section 111 was passed requiring the following. Each educational institution that receives federal funds for a fiscal year shall hold an education program on the United States Constitution on September 17th each year for the students served by the educational institution. I think most all of us have kids or grandkids in the area. This really is very germane to them. Furthermore, it says, quote, each federal agency or department shall, again, no wiggle room in that word, provide education and training materials concerning the United States Constitution to each employee on September 17th each year. George Washington, I think most of you remember that gentleman, says quote, a primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government in a republic, not a democracy. We don't have a democracy. Very clear in the Constitution. There's no word democracy in that. In a republic, that species of knowledge can be equally important. What species of knowledge should be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those liberties to those guardians of the liberties of our country? I have no hesitation. I'm a very proud American, proud that we live in this exceptional country where we can have these discussions, debates, but fortunately we're losing so much of this. Why? Because we don't study our Constitution, okay? Article 6 of that booklet there tells you that that's the supreme law of the land, and it's being violated constantly every day. So I'd urge everybody, let's study the Constitution. God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay, anybody on the second or third row? Please make your way down.
Afternoon, Council Pro Tem, everybody else. I just wanted to let everybody know, I noticed something when I walked in here today. I didn't have to
Your
move.
name for the record?
Troy Stegner, owner of Zia Comics. I did not have to move a sleeping vagrant from in front of the door to get inside. I did not have to step over human excrement to get inside. I was not sexually or physically assaulted to get inside this council chamber. So how can you guys sit up here and tell me that you know what we're going through downtown when these are almost daily occurrences with us? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, I'm going to tell all you people here, if you keep voting for the same people and expect change, that's insane. That's all I had to say.
Fourth row, fifth row, sixth row, seventh, eighth. Anybody on this side? Okay, that concludes our public participation. Next up, I will be reading September 11, 2023, closed meeting statement into the record. The Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 11:06 a.m. September 11, 2023. The following members were in attendance: Mayor Ken Mihigashima, Councilor Cassandra Gandara, Councilor Tessa Beta was absent, Councilor Becky Graham was present, Councilor Johanna Bicoma present, Councilor Becky Corin present, Councilor Yvonne Flores present. Staff was Linda Samples, City Attorney, Barbara Bencomo, Chief Administrative Officer, Sonia Delgado, Assistant City Manager, Ifo Peely, City Manager, Pilomena Hauser, outside attorney by Zoom and was out at 12:12 p.m. Joe Richards was HR Director via Zoom. Andy Hume, Airport Director via Zoom. Jocelyn Garrison, Department City Attorney via Zoom. The meeting adjourned at 12:49. Let's see. The purpose of the closed meeting is to discuss a pending litigation regarding Tom Reynolds versus the City of Las Cruces, CIV-200022GJF-KRS, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H7. Okay. I need a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Graham. Second. Abeda.
Motion made by Councillor Graham, second by Councillor Abeda. All right, let's see.
Mayor Pro Tem, I need to call the vote.
Yes.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councillor Abeda?
Yes.
Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councillor Cram?
Yes.
Councillor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Okay. Resolution number 24-030. Need a motion?
Move to approve. Second. Graham.
Was that by Councillor Bencomo? Councillor Abeta, second by Councillor Graham. Hi, Alicia.
Good afternoon. Bear with us for just a minute.
No worries.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilors. Alicia Hernandez, Purchasing Manager. Before you is a resolution to approve our Microsoft Enterprise Agreement renewal. The IT department has an enterprise agreement with Microsoft. This includes our desktop operating systems, our security licensing, and Microsoft Office software. The agreement provides us with a cost reduction from bulk purchasing and also includes regular updates from these Microsoft products. The agreement expires and must be renewed every 6 years, and during that time, the pricing is locked in for those years. Annual renewal determines if additional licensing is required. At this time, purchasing recommends that we contract with CDWG via a CES contract. The contract number is 2022-01-AG01-ALL. And we're asking for an indefinite cost, indefinite quantity, and it would be subject to annual renewals and approved budget appropriations. And with that, these are your council options, and I stand for questions.
Councillor Corin, Councillor Flores.
I have a question that's 100% in jest. Thank you for presenting. If we vote no, will it bring the entire Teams infrastructure down and never make us attend a Teams meeting again? Is there any chance of that?
It will.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, Councillor Corin. Councillor Flores.
Why would we enter into an agreement for an indefinite cost? I sure as heck wouldn't. Why? I mean, is that a term of art that's used in such a contract?
We have done that before. We don't know how many licenses we'll need in the future going forward.
But it's like a carte blanche. It's like giving you a blank check. So it's been done in the past, so we continue to do. I'm just curious, and
we have done it in the past.
Indefinite quantity, indefinite cost, subject to annual renewals. So this being subject to annual renewals, does that mean that we would review the cost and then yeah, because it also says resolution approving the annual renewal. The operative word there is annual, so there has to be not just a renewal, but a review. And so if we were to vote yes on this, this resolution would be subject to, well, I would expect there'd be strict scrutiny insofar as reviewing the terms and the prices and all that.
We do review the terms every year, and the contract that we're going to use, it expires in 2026. So at that time, we would have to either procure another contract or take one of our own. And
so what happens if the costs become exorbitant, and we know of another vendor who that would be a better price for the same product?
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may.
Councillor Flores, Mr. Peely has.
Mr. Peely has the floor.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Rob's up here to shed some light. Just for these particular licenses, we don't know, and so we have to enter into a contract. However, there is an appropriation throughout the budget process that's set. These amounts are set. We can't go beyond that unless we bring it forward. And so there's a certain amount for these licenses, but this is the contract that's needed in order for us to receive them. I don't know if you have anything in addition to add, Rob. I know you're making your way up here. So I guess if your concern is the blank check, that cap is at the budget appropriation for these licenses.
Mr. Peely, is that in the contract, in the agreement with the vendor?
You know, I'd have to look at the contract, but
would it be subject to what our appropriations are? I mean, do they understand that?
Yes, Councilor, so we determine if we can, I mean, we don't have to purchase a certain amount. We determine how many licenses we're going to need, and again, it's determined by, our budget sets that cap. And so if we are going beyond our budget line item, we certainly have to come back for an amendment for that.
So does a vendor understand that? Like, say, for example, we went bankrupt. Would we still be bound by the terms of this contract? I mean, that's just a, extreme, but just because I'm just wondering. I mean.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the contract, Councilor, but I can assure you we wouldn't be bound. I don't know if you have any
Right, this
comments.
is Rob Del Plane, IT Director, Councilor Flores, and Mayor Pro Tem and Council. If there were a particular situation like this, that the city went bankrupt, at the next year, Microsoft understands that we wouldn't be able to get approval for that purchase, in which case we would not have to purchase it.
So the agreement isn't binding?
Over the course of several years, no, only for this particular course years. I don't remember the exact wording, but when you have multiple years where you're saying you're going to purchase something, but I don't remember the exact term, but there's a term where we don't have to continue to purchase that, if you remember.
No, the city can opt out every year. We're going to pay the first year, and then if we don't have enough budget next year, we choose a different route.
Oh, okay.
And ultimately, the city purchasing section works with the end user for the best cost for the best item that we need.
Okay, well, that definitely allays my fears. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pineda.
Thank you. I was hoping that I'd have a chance to look at the resolution specifically, and give me a moment. I read it earlier, but I don't remember. One of the things, and I've had, it does give me pause to say that indefinite with no criteria. The resolution doesn't state at all the amounts, what it's for. Even in the event it's to, be additional amounts, then we would come back to council. And so, Ifo, this is like the second or third time that it's come like this with that kind of language, and it does give me pause. And I'm hopeful that staff, as they're developing these resolutions, that they state the amounts, and even if there's some, in the event it exceeds a certain amount, then it would be brought back. Because we don't know what's happening in procurement or whatever, but this is probably the third time that I read something like that, and I want to have more information, but there isn't information. Now I'm looking through all the things that you're sending, right, because there's several attachments there. You're reading hundreds of pages of document. It just makes it really difficult. So in the future, if you could add something like that, I think it would satisfy me.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, we will.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Yes, ma'am, please make your way to the podium and state your name.
My name is Lori English. I live in the city, and it's been my experience as a previous business owner in other states that if it's not stated clearly, if the word indefinite or future shows up, we are not to accept that word. It should be tied in, and you ladies obviously are aware of that fact, that indefinite means infinity. I'm not Buzz Lightyear, and I'm not an attorney by any stretch, but if something is infinite, that means it can go on and go on and go on. And they're giving us their word that we have the right to do this and we have the right to do that. If it's not expressly written in the document, it will not hold up in court. I don't care what court it is, whether they go bankrupt or whether we go bankrupt, the bottom line is we're still responsible if we accept the word indefinite. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. English. Anybody else? Okay. Yes? Christine, please take the roll.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-030. Counselor Beta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Next up, 8.2, resolution number 24-031. I need a
Move to approve, Graham.
motion made by Counselor Graham,
Seconded by Counselor Corin or Abeta. I heard it too.
second made by Counselor Corin. Hello, Ms. Green.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Natalie Green for the record. The resolution before you is a land acquisition. It would be a purchase of property located at 915 and 921 West Amador. The site description, it's approximately a 1 acre parcel, or it's 2 parcels that make up about an acre. It also includes a 500 square foot metal industrial building, and again, it's addressed off of Amador. It is adjacent to the Mesilla Valley Community Hope Campus, and it was identified as a potential acquisition piece during the master plan adoption. This is a vicinity map. The subject parcels are in pink, and then the Community Hope Campus is labeled in blue. This is just a visual of the property facing west. So this would be from the property facing into the Mesilla Valley Community Hope driveway. And again, you can see that 5,000 square foot industrial building. And then this is from the driveway facing east. This is the master plan that was adopted in 2002. Again, that parcel is shown here as a potential acquisition site, and it would improve the overall flow of the campus, increase parking, and then it would allow the continued expansion of the other buildings. The proposed terms of the purchase, we did do 2 appraisals. The first came back at $435 and the second came back at $437. The negotiated price with the seller is $435,000 with us splitting closing costs. And the benefits of this purchase is that it would align with the city's master plan and the goals for expansion of the Mesilla Valley Community Hope. It also aligns with our strategic goals, Elevate, and the city's consolidated plan. It does include a budget adjustment to cover the cost of the acquisition and closing. So you'll notice that dollar amount is a little bit different. And that's because it includes the closing costs. And then you have your standard council options, and we'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Any questions on the dais? Seeing none. Public comment? Seeing none. Christine, please take the roll.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-031. Counselor Beta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Okay, motion passes. 8.3, resolution number 24-032, a resolution approving a community development block grant. Hi.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council.
Move to
Raymond
approve.
Birchfield for the city.
Mr. Birchfield, give me a moment. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need a motion.
Sorry, move to approve Abeta.
Motion made by
Seconded,
Councilor
Corin.
Beta, second by Councilor Corin. Here we go, Mr. Birchfield. Now we're ready.
Okay, before you today, we have a community development block grant agreement to approve the Community Hope Campus Solar Project. And Casa de Peregrinos applied for community development block grant funding, current year funding, program year 23, in the amount of $200,000. Casa de Peregrinos distributes approximately 4.5 million pounds of food a year. They're the largest food pantry in southern New Mexico. And they just recently moved into the new space at Horse and Hound. Those numbers should be going up dramatically. And this resolution will approve a block grant agreement between the city and Casa de Peregrinos in the amount of $200,000 as approved through Action Plan 23 last May by City Council. And this project will be done in Community of Hope applied for with the Department of Energy for a $200,000 grant, which they have received. So this will be a $400,000 project. And this will greatly decrease utility bills for the agencies on campus. And there's, like, I guess that's an aging overhead picture. And the new Horse and Hound. And this will be parking lot shade structures. Exactly where on campus, I don't know just yet. It's still in the design phase. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Birchfield. Any questions from the dais? Seeing none from council, how about from the public? Seeing none? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-032. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Thank you. Next up, we have no board appointments. And I'm looking at Christine. She'll tell me if we do. Any notice, no notice of proposed ordinances either. Wow. Now we're up, item 11, City Council Member Board Reports and Comments. And I will say that I appreciated being a part of the City Council ride, and I will just leave it at that and let Councilor Graham give her input related to that. It is really amazing what our town has to offer with public art and just the uniqueness of each neighborhood. So I was really appreciative, and I thank Chief Story and Officer Clement for monitoring traffic. It made me feel very safe, and so appreciate that. We have some work to do in our streets, I think, particularly in the urban, in the inner city, and it's something that we continue to look at with our public works and our street management, our pavement management program. And so I'm appreciative of that program, but trying to meet the needs and the demands of the entire city makes it difficult. So I'll have some conversations, Ifo, with you about some specific areas that I think really need some attention in District 1 and other. We kind of stayed in that area, but I appreciate the opportunity. I do want to address the issues that were brought to our attention about GBI. I believe wholeheartedly in this program, and there is an opportunity to seek funding, additional funding through a mayor's GBI task force or board nationally that I think is a great opportunity. The money is funneled through Community Foundation, and several of our nonprofits are working through the variety of issues. I do want to say that there was a pilot project in Hatch that just yielded great outcomes. And if we're serious about reducing poverty, this is one way to do it. Is it the only way? Absolutely not. But it's one of the ways, and I stand by my vote. As a matter of fact, Friday evening, we get to view a screening related to family prosperity, and I invite the public to that screening. It'll be done at, it will be showing at the Farm and Ranch, and I believe it's 6 p.m. I'm looking at Councilor Bencomo, and so I'm looking forward to hearing more about the programming and nationally what it's doing for particularly people, lifting them up and out of poverty. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, the funds that are being used for that GBI, and it's temporary, it's I think limited to 18 months, are from the ARPA money, the money that was issued to cities to use at their discretion, so long as it fell within certain parameters and guidelines. I personally am against guaranteed basic income. It was tried in Fresno, California, and it wasn't successful. And No, it was not. In fact, the mayor was booted out and was not reelected. It was not successful. Well, you say it was, depending on how you do your arithmetic, it didn't, and I don't want to get into a debate. All I know is that there was one, this is an 18-month project, and I doubt very much it'll be refunded because I don't think we're going to see outcomes in 18 months. If this was an ongoing, if it was maybe a multi-billionaire who wanted to try something out and could, someone like Elon Musk, the richest billionaire in the world, and he could see if it could work somewhere and just throw his money there, fine. But I'm certainly, should the city, should it come before the city, this board, I would definitely vote against GBI. It's not sustainable. And I agree with the mayor. There was some reporting on KRWG, and he was interviewed, and he said that his colleagues didn't understand finances. Well, excuse me.
Point of order, please.
Thank
Can we
you.
just respect each other and
So,
our opinions? Thank you.
So anyway, I want to go on to things that are a little bit more pleasant. I was able to attend the firefighters' graduation a week ago last Friday. I can't even remember when it was. It was about a week ago last Friday. And it was absolutely wonderful. And I think it's the first time I've attended, and it was just amazing to see the training they get, how rigorous it is, and different firefighters were singled out. They were distinguished in their accomplishments. But it was very nice. It was very nice to participate in that, and there were tons of family and children, and we received a pamphlet, and I just want to read to you a firefighter's prayer. When I am called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me the strength to save a life, whatever be its age. Help me embrace a little child before it is too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert and hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently to put the fire out. I want to feel my calling and to give the best in me, to guard my every neighbor and protect their property. And if according to your will I have to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and it says wife, but it should say spouse because we have a lot of female. So I'll just edit that. And the author is unknown. The ceremony was really, really moving because I don't remember the number, but it was definitely an elite group of firefighters, and it was really wonderful. The other, before I forget, Happy New Year to my Jewish family, to my Jewish friends. This is a very somber period up until Yom Kippur. I think it's September 24, 25 is the Yom Kippur, and it's like a high holy season. The other, we already presented the proclamation to the downwinders, but a lot of people were talking about how awesome the movie Oppenheimer was, but what they failed to talk about was how the first bomb was landed here, not very far from us, and there's a 150-mile radius, and my family lived in this part of the world, less than 150 miles from here, and I was, I guess, not born yet, but two of my brothers were already born. But the point, though, is that it was a testing ground for what followed in August, I think it was August 5 of 1945, when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, and those cities were obliterated, and it took several years for things to start growing again. And sadly, the government failed to make any kind of reparations. The whole project, the Manhattan Project, which took place in Los Alamos, really, they just went in there and took over that part. And why they selected New Mexico, I don't know. All I know is that New Mexico was left out of the RECA, the Radiation Exposure Act. So hopefully there'll be some, people will never get their health back. People continue to die as a result of that radiation, and I think that, like in my family, it was like, oh, he died of cancer. Oh, cancer, I guess it runs in the family. Well, cancer isn't hereditary. But anyway, the other development, or another wonderful, not wonderful, I mean TV, yeah, anyway, but on the upside of what we do up here. 3 or 4 years ago, 2019, so it was 4 years ago, the city of Las Cruces worked together with Las Cruces Public Schools and the League of Women Voters of Southern New Mexico to present a Know Your Government Day. And that was wonderful. Mayor Pro Tem and I participated in that. And there was supposed to be a follow-up. This was February of 2019. We were supposed to follow up the following year, and the students who were selected were from all the high schools here in Las Cruces. And it was for students that, because every human being has potential, so I have to be careful about how I word this. It was for students who would be selected by their teachers, and of course with the parents' permission if they're, but it wasn't like geared for someone who was class president or, president of the student body, because that person's already engaged. And so we were going to track the students and then whatever, but those students are now, I think they're seniors some of them are seniors at NMSU, and that's the information we got from LCPS. We met a week ago, or about two time goes by. Yeah, we met to reinstate this, and our community outreach person, I don't know if that's her, Katrina Godinez, participated, and so we're on the road to get that done. It takes several months, so we'll have it in February. Yeah, and with Mayor Pro Tem giving the welcoming speech to the students, she encouraged them to go on, because we have LCPS involved, they didn't track the students, but they've kept in touch with some of the students, and that's how we know that some of them are at NMSU. But Mayor Pro Tem shared that her children were graduates of the LCPS schools, and then went on to say that her son served in the military, in the Navy, and that her daughter was in med school. And now she's actually done with med school and going on to other, whatever, because time has flown. Anyway, those are the highlights of my life in conjunction with the city. And it's not an easy job, but I love it.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Councilor Corrin. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Councilor Corrin.
Thank you. I think I just wanted to sort of, if this is part of the conversation, to go back to GBI and really throw my support behind something that's been demonstrated in countless peer-reviewed research studies to show that it improves public health, reduces poverty, and as poverty is a policy choice, I think we can choose differently, and I really appreciate that NMSU's Crimson Research will be evaluating this, that community organizations that are really trusted in our community are doing it, and there will be a strong evaluation to show what the outcomes are for the folks in our community. So I'm really excited about that project, and I'm happy to say so. And I appreciate Councilor Bencomo's thoughtful interview. I just want to give a few notes about upcoming things related to the ASCMV. The work session this Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. at the County Commission chambers is addressing the Joint Powers Agreement and the conversation about that some folks who are interested in animal-related things might want to participate in. And again, that's at the County Commission chambers from 3 to 5. And then we also have a schedule change. You all, and I don't know that we have it in our Outlook calendars yet, but on October 2nd, the work session that was supposed to be for animal-related issues the following week has been rescheduled. The mayor rescheduled it for the morning of October 2nd. So there will be that will be our work session on animal-related issues. So just putting it on you all's calendar and also changing what was sort of I think the public didn't necessarily know that had changed, but that's just 2 weeks away. So it will be at 10 a.m. here in the council chambers. And other than that, I really enjoyed the bike ride. Thanks to Chief Story for keeping us safe, and thanks for Velo Cruces to support us and really show and teach us a lot of things about our bike-related infrastructure here in the city. So I really appreciate all that Velo does, George Pearson in particular, in terms of advocacy for safe streets. So thank you, George, and thanks Chief Story for keeping us, and Officer Klimek for keeping us safe. By the way, with pedal power, no electric bikes needed for the police, unlike for me.
Thank you, Councilor Corin. Councilor Bicomo.
Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. Though Chief Story did say that they do have some electric bikes, so he didn't need one on Saturday, that's right. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem and everyone. I do just want to add that former Mayor Michael Tubbs of Stockton, California is now serving as the Special Advisor for Economic Mobility to the Governor of California, so I say fail forward. I also wanted to read this piece of, this article that was recently in Politico just a couple of weeks ago that reads, "The child poverty rate more than doubled in 2022 as COVID-era programs expired, erasing major economic gains for the poorest Americans. Much like the child tax credit that put unrestricted cash in the pockets of many families in the United States." And you know, there's this great quote that says, "Poverty is a policy choice," and I couldn't agree more. A couple hundred folks in Congress chose not to reinstate this child tax credit, and then the child poverty rate doubled. So it is absolutely a choice that we have these high of poverty rates across the country, but certainly in Las Cruces, and working towards building something bold and innovative that clearly works. I'm proud to support that, and you don't have to agree with it. I also just, I don't think things like, "Oh, you don't understand finances," is super helpful feedback. I think it's interesting because I think even at the federal level, when we're talking about people, particularly poor folks, we're always like, where is the money going to come from? But when we're talking about funding military spending, when we're talking about funding, I don't know, things like the Border Patrol, that's never a question of, oh, I wonder where the money's coming from. Last year, Chief Dominguez brought us a budget that said, we need 18 new vehicles, and none of us asked, where's the money coming from, right? So it's really interesting to me always when we pose those questions about who we want to invest in and what we want to invest in, and when it comes to poor folks, it's always like, well, where's the money going to come from? When clearly these programs work. And so I'd highly encourage you all to read this incredible political article that at the very end says, we now have half of Americans who do not have $500 in savings. And I think that's pretty tragic. I want to invite folks to attend our housing PRC meeting on Wednesday at 2 p.m. On the second floor of City Hall. And also the 11-year anniversary of the of the Griggs Walnut Superfund site. If you haven't been to their open house to see how that facility is working to improve the water in that area, you really should. It's really incredible. I swear to you, it's almost like magic how incredible that facility is and what it's doing to keep our water safe. So that is this Thursday from 10 to 1. It's an open house, so you can drop in whenever you'd like, but I highly encourage that folks attend that. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo. Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a couple of shout outs. I'm going to be the 4th person to say that the City Council bike ride was great. Thanks to Velo Cruces, to Officer Klimek, to Chief Story, who did all of the protecting and self-powered pedaling. And I also want to mention on a bike frame that was at least 1, but possibly 2 sizes too small. So yeah, I wish I'd known. I would have brought my husband's bike, which would have been a little more appropriately sized. So way to do it all with your knees around your ears on top of everything. I also want to share thank you to Patrick Peck, Executive Director of South Central Solid Waste Authority, who forwarded an email chain about some really great community efforts to clean up. I guess this last weekend was National Cleanup Day, which I wasn't aware of, so good to learn that. And so many thanks to the Campion family, to the Staffords, and I'm sure there were other neighbors who maybe didn't get mentioned, who went out to the Sierra Vista Trail around Vado and picked up, among other easier wrangled garbage, 48 tires, including some, I'm looking at the photos, which I would think of as like CrossFit tires, because they're like up to my chest if you stand them up, because like you flip them for CrossFit. No one else has flipped CrossFit tires? But thank you so much. And also, of course, SCSWA is such a great partner in these in these efforts as well, because a lot of times people are reluctant to pick up things that big because it can be really costly to dispose of them once you've cleaned them up, and SCSWA is waiving all of the fees for disposal. So that is another big help. And finally, to Adrienne Widmer and her incredible team at Utilities, thank you so much for addressing the water pressure issue that's been ongoing at Lowell Road for technical things that I couldn't possibly understand. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to forward this thank you email, Adrienne, that I got that I don't deserve. And I'll pass it along to you, and if you'll pass it along to your appropriate team members. Thank you so much for your customer service, for you and your team's cariño. Always appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Graham. Councilor Beta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. First off, just a message for our quality of life meeting. We will not have one this month, but we will next month, where we'll be reviewing the library master plan. So it just isn't quite ready, so we'll be meeting next month. And then, as you all may know, I just came back from Washington, D.C., where I was with the local Chamber of Commerce, where we go to do advocacy on behalf of veterans programs and affairs, especially for Wismar and a little bit for Fort Bliss. We also visited the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and got to hear a little bit about the developments that they're trying to do within the southern region and looking at nearshoring. One of the most interesting things, though, that I think I was able to view, we attended the Veterans Business Outreach Center, where we got to learn about some different programs, which we've already applied a bit here in our community, everything from Boots to Business, which is to help veterans that are just exiting out of the service set up their small business. We also have different programs for empowering veteran entrepreneurship. There seems to be a little bit of a difference between the entrepreneurship that we see across the nation versus what we have in our community. We were reported that in other places, entrepreneurship is usually done by the 60-plus crowd, whereas here we see a different demographic that is the ones that are trying to open up new businesses, so it was very interesting. to look at. There's also programs that are starting to reach out to the spouses of veterans to make sure it's easier for them to get either certified or licensed in different states, which is really helpful, especially if they have like teaching certifications or other types of technical expertise. Those are needed areas in many different fields here in our community. And there was going to be, I believe, right in 2020, a symposium about veterans outreach, and they were going to host it here in Las Cruces. But then with everything with COVID, it was delayed. Now it looks like we are trying to bring that back here again and make sure that we can get that full symposium here and then reach out to the individuals in Wismar and the Southwest region. So if we can work with Debbie on that to just check back in, because I think that was a great opportunity for us to still work with. And I also want to say I have a little girl that does the walk to school every week, which she's very excited about. She has a little neighborhood of set of friends. They all walk together every day, but on Fridays they do a different route to do the walk to school. They love it. It's very fun. It is all the things that the little ones were saying today about it gets them together, it gets a community, it gets them out and walking, and they just have a blast. Plus, sometimes they get little charms that they can hang off their backpacks, and they certainly love that too. So it's a wonderful program, and I'm happy to see it in schools throughout the city. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Abeyta. Ifo, Mr. Pili.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor. Just wanted to remind everyone about our town hall meeting with LCPD tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. That's part of the quarterly meetings they have. And then also Wednesday, so tomorrow and then Wednesday is also the Bridging the Badge meeting that will be via Zoom. The link will be on Facebook, and again, just more engagement and outreach. Appreciate LCPD organizing these events and these more opportunity to interact with the public. Speaking of which, I just want to share some thoughts regarding downtown as it relates to crime, and I know you know, Council, but just for the public's sake, I mean, we do have, out of all the areas in the city, we actually hired security guards because of the TID that allows us to do that. So not only do we have patrol there, we have community outreach there. We have our Lieutenant Widila is the community liaison that goes there for meetings. There's typically someone at the farmer's market. We have a lot of police presence there. I think Economic Development is looking at our downtown 20 to 32 new downtown security cameras. But there's a security service in addition to our patrolling that's down there from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night. And so there's, we do know that since we've implemented that, crime has gone down, especially during that time. And so there's a lot of efforts being done all over the city, but specifically to downtown. Because of that TID, we have a little bit of leverage there. So just wanted to make that known. Of course, there's some other issues that we're dealing with citywide regarding crime, working with the municipal court, also with the magistrate court, and then, of course, the DA. And there's more info to come. With Chief Story, will, him and I will maybe present something further about what's been done. But I know you all have had that. Have been making efforts in that way to get with our court system and our DA to get these things addressed. But just wanted to make known, specifically in the downtown, there's actually extra patrol there, more than we have in any other part of the city because of the TID. So I'll just stop there with that. But another thing with Economic Development, they've wanted me to remind everyone about the Catastrophic Business Assistance Program. It's available through $150,000 of junior money funds provided by Senator Hamlin. We've given out our first 4 grants in the amount of $42,342, 2 AC replacements, over 2,000 equipment stolen, and a multi-day shutdown due to water line issues. These funds are recommended to those businesses not only for replacement costs, but for loss of revenue and lost wages. I believe that's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem, Council.
Thank you, Ifo, for mentioning about the downtown. I think it's important. We've had numerous efforts, and you and I spoke as late as last week, late Friday, about some other things that I've requested, bringing back the large camera, maybe foot patrol. I know that in talking with Chris Favor, there's the suggestion and recommendation about offering security during the day, where there seems to be, some issues during the day. I've received numerous calls and emails about a big brawl that happened at Klein Park over the weekend on Sunday. I'm not sure, Chief Story, if you were aware of that. I'm sure there's a number of things that are happening citywide, but I'll be forwarding that information. I'm wondering if we need to just move into looking at security for our parks. Not only that, I'm hearing that at Apalaca Park and all over the city. So it's an issue, and I think people are really concerned about that. I know that you mentioned about working with our district attorney and our court system. Ifo and I are looking at a resolution specifically to bring back to council related to our municipal code and how we can have maybe some teeth in some of these misdemeanors, possibly felonies, and I know that he's having that conversation specifically with Ms. Samples. So thank you, Ifo. Appreciate that. Okay, anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Abeta. Second, Bencomo.
Motion made by Councilor Abeta, second by Councilor Bencomo. Christine, please take the roll.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor Abeta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
The mayor is absent.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.